how many downloads of Jim and Bill It's Another Day podcast?
Today, the podcast show has fetched 400 million downloads since its start, and an average of 350,000 downloads per episode, about 3.9 million downloads per week.
Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Nye with my morning sip of right side coffee to start my day,
Delicious, finely blended right side coffee. Ah, yes. Medium roast so that it's just about right for everybody. Also, we have a decaf roast. And you're saying that's all great, Jim, but where do you buy it? Well, I'll tell you. It's at rightsideshop.com. Rightsideshop.com. That's singular, not shops. Otherwise, you'll get one of those little notice like could not find or whatever. It's Right Side Shop. It's singular. All right. Rightsideshop.com. And you'll see all of our other nice little gadgets and gizmos there, too. Cups
just in time for the holidays. Now, I will tell you this, because we are getting to the holidays there, because everything is on demand with us. It's like a supply and demand situation. Gets about this time of the year, right around Thanksgiving, right after that, it gets really tough. So if you're looking at it going, I ought to get that, you might want to do it now, because, you get down to that 3-week crunch before Christmas. Forgot about it. You can order it, but it ain't going to be there until after the fact. That's the way it goes, and there's nothing we can do about that.
So,
just
again,
telling you the heads up.
You will find it at rightsideshop.com. rightsideshop.com, all right? And also, when we do a commercial for rightsideshop.com, you also get, besides information on all the neat stuff we have.
An angel gets their wings?
Well, that too, if yes, when the bell rings. But we also have Juan and Jose and the Border Crossers to sing this.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
And they do such a nice job. All right, guys, back to the corner. We'll talk to you later. Rightsideshop.com. Don't forget, check it out. At the very least, check it out. If you see, I'm sure you'll find something you like. The Daddy's Home sweatshirt, T-shirt, and cup by itself is something you should wear to your Thanksgiving dinner, especially if you have a relative who is a liberal, because you'll make them gag on their stuffing, I'll tell you.
And, nobody wants to gag in their stuffing because that's a waste of good stuffing.
That's true. That's very true.
You don't want to do that. So, but you want them to do it. So, yeah. I'm confused.
I think you're overthinking it.
Well, I overthink everything.
Hey, yesterday, during the show, at the end of the show, my Court and Crime live on the air was looking at the news feed, and all of a sudden it came across the wire that Ukraine had launched our missiles that we gave them into Russia, and it knocked us on our heels. It was, literally, it was as live as you can get because it just came across the wire. What I found interesting, and I don't know whether you noticed this, mainstream media sort of downplayed it all day long. It was like, we launched missiles and other news. And I'm thinking, do these morons know what is going on right now? No. I started to doubt myself, Bill. I started to think, well, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe Bill and I overreacted. Last night at 8 o'clock on Rob Finnerty's show on Newsmax, he came on right off the top of the show. He said, I don't know what to make of this, folks. I've been looking at the news all day long, and it's being downplayed. He said, and this is a gigantic story that deserves total attention because we're on the verge of a world war. And we just can't ignore this. And then he had as a guest, he had Rick Grinnell come on. And Grinnell said, and there's no more of an expert in this country than Rick Grinnell when it comes to foreign policy. He said, you're absolutely correct. We are on the verge of war. Russia is deciding whether to launch nukes, conventional weapons. They're figuring out the targets. And by the way, we are one of the targets.
Yeah. And actually, when you say they're deciding, the question is not, if.
Right.
That's already been determined because we crossed the red line.
Yep.
It's what, when, where.
No, you're absolutely correct, Bill. And what I can't figure out is our government intentionally telling the media to keep it down. Don't talk about it. Because it doesn't make sense.
Joe's off doing his thing. Of course, before Trump gets in or before all hell breaks loose, he promised billions and billions of dollars to chip manufacturers overseas. So
unbelievable.
He goes, I gotta get this money before Trump stops it spent. Which is what he's been doing. Kamala is doing what she did all the time. Anytime there was a disaster, she was somewhere vacationing. Where was she yesterday?
Hawaii.
Yeah, come on, Kamala.
Would you please tell me, Bill, she's the second in command in our government. We are on the verge of maybe World War III. Don't you think? And by the way, Joe I guess he's coming back from Peru, or he's just came back from Peru, but he was out of the country. What the hell is she doing in Hawaii? Why isn't she minding the store? She's the vice president.
Didn't we have a thing like this with somebody down to Mexico, and they got sick and their backup was on vacation or something like that? You have two people in charge of a department. One's on a mission, the other one can't go on vacation, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And these two, clowns are sitting there going, I'm going to go do this. Oh, yeah, go ahead and take that vacation. What could go wrong?
Well, we have a guy, by the way, folks. I don't know who is telling him what to do, but I don't believe that Joe really has a clue what he's doing. If you saw him in Peru, he made a couple of comments at the podium. He turned around and he walked off into the Amazon Amazon jungle.
I went to get my car inspected yesterday, and the guy was really quiet all the way through.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he's sitting there, doing that little gas thing, and he turns around and he goes, did you see Joe Biden? He's down in Peru, and he just wanders off into the woods, the jungle.
He walked off into the woods. I thought, what is he going on a safari or something? What the heck is he doing?
I'm sitting there going, well, you voted. Oh, hell no, I didn't vote for him. I didn't. Just like, okay.
Yeah, they had a group meeting, all these different leaders of the country, their countries, who were down at this confab down in Peru. Mm-hmm. At the end of the meeting, they have a group picture. All of them get up and stand next to each other and smile for the camera. It's tradition, except for Joe this time. When they're all standing up there getting their picture taken, Joe's in the parking lot somewhere. I swear to God, he's off somewhere, lost in space. And I think they canceled the shot because he wasn't in the shot. They couldn't find him. I was thinking, where the hell is the Secret Service? How does a president get lost? Then, yesterday, Bill, he's walking into Air Force One, and the reporters are frustrated as can be because, he doesn't talk to them. He authorized the use of missiles on Russia yesterday, maybe the biggest story in the last 25 years, and he wouldn't talk to them. Listen to their frustration.
Will you talk to us, sir? As a gift to the press, will you please talk to us? Mr. President, President Biden! Please, we haven't heard from you all trip! Mr. President!
And he just kept walking up the stairs, completely ignored the screams of the press gaggle that were, they're doing their job trying to get some kind of a comment. That's what they're there for. They didn't fly there to, do a vacation of some kind. They were there to follow the president. The guy, he's not talking to anybody. It's like, and folks, they're trying to make it as bad for Trump as they can. right now.
You know, Democrats, they're posting stuff everywhere. And they're going, all right, when Trump gets in, don't spend any money for the entire 4 years. Don't buy anything. Just put off buying it until we get a Democrat back in because we want to tank the economy. So, you know what? If that's the way you play during an election cycle that you lost, you just wait and see what happens.
Well,
if and how you get back in.
It also shows how little they know about our economy. First of all, if they first of all, you're never going to get every Democrat to follow along with that. You're going to get a handful of people. But even if it had some kind of effect, even if it had some kind of an economic bump, what would happen is, because there would be less of a demand on a product, usually what happens is it lowers the price of the product so that people can sell it. You know, I mean, it's like, okay, well, we got to lower the price because people aren't buying this and we're making it. So
we have deflation.
So what will happen is, for the people who are purchasing stuff like the right, things will be cheaper. And probably they'll sell more of the item, and it has no effect. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. And by the way, these are the same people, Bill, who have been saying if Trump was elected, they're leaving the country. If Trump was elected, I'm leaving the country. Get the heck out.
Yeah, talk's cheap. You know, time for you to go.
Yeah, I mean, don't let the door...
You said it once, back in 2016, you didn't mean it. You know, I think you meant it now, so I mean for you to go, because I'm tired of your shenanigans.
You know, Sunny Hostin is a host on The View. Yeah, she's amazing, Bill.
Well, she had crow for Thanksgiving early.
But I'm sure you saw what she said. I'm going to play it.
Yeah.
But she made comments on a show about Matt Gaetz, and they were unfounded. They were not factual. They were wrong. Okay, they were slanderous. Okay, so somebody in their legal department grabbed Sonny and said, "Sonny, get in here. You're going to read this on the air." And she probably said, "I'm not reading it." And they probably said, "Well, if you like your job, you're going to read this, and you're going to read it verbatim with no comment. Do you understand?" So they gave her the little slip of paper, and she went out there, and she read this, and she read it with such disdain that you knew just by looking at her, she hated reading it and didn't believe a word of what she was saying. But she had to read it because the lawyer said, "You keep doing stuff like this, and Matt Gaetz is going to own ABC." Anyway, here's what she said.
Hey, Sonny, you have a legal note. I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought. We'll be right back.
And that's it. No comment, just read the statement and then go to commercial.
You know, they would have been better off if she would have just rock and roll read the statement without any, and just do that. It would have just sounded normal. But she drew attention to it, and it really, I'm sitting there seeing her wipe the pie off of her face.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, you're stupid.
Have you? I mean, I never heard of this woman until she got on The View. And all of a sudden, these people start thinking, boy, am I important? Everybody's talking about me. I mean, come on. You're on the friggin' View. By the way, I don't know that you heard about this. There's a story going around that Megyn Kelly and, what's her name? Another conservative lady, and I can't think of her name, Candace Owen. I'm sorry, Megyn Kelly and Candace Owen are supposedly, they've been signed to do a conservative talk show to compete against The View, and it's supposed to be on CBS. I don't know how true that is. I haven't seen any recent stories. This was last week that story was going around, and apparently it was for a lot of money. But I would think that if that's true, it would be all over the place. And again, it seems to have gone by the wayside. We'll see it as the days and weeks progress. Getting back to this situation that we're in right now with these missiles, Bill. I don't know. I still feel like we're walking on eggs over here.
Yeah.
People don't seem to understand that as we are going about our lives, they're making decisions in Russia that can have a direct effect on you and your family, and we're not being told anything about this by this administration.
Right.
I mean, would it surprise you? What if they launched a nuclear missile went off the coast of California just to show us that they got them and they know how to use them?
Well, what if they shoot one off and it hits a tectonic plate?
Yeah, well, I mean, it could cause an earthquake.
They've talked about stuff like that, but it's never been done. Maybe now's the time for the Science Lab project. By the way, the people you were talking about was Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens.
Yeah.
They signed
Candace Owens.
Yeah, they said $700 million deal with CBS for a morning show to compete with ABC's The View.
Oh, so it's true. They did sign the deal. I read the story.
13 days ago this was out. So whether or not, but there's fact checking down on it. People say, did they sign a deal or not? Obviously, there was talks.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I think they're being very mum about it.
Well, it would be a smart move when you look at the number of people who voted for Trump. There's a big audience out there. A lot of people aren't being served by The View,
Yeah.
So,
and Whoopi's got some problems, too. You mentioned Huston, but Whoopi has got her thing with that bagel shop where she made claims that were she can't substantiate.
that was the bakery on Staten Island. That was a full-blown bakery that's been around for like 100 years, and she claimed that she couldn't get her order because she was a black woman. Oh no, because she's a liberal. There was she blamed not getting her order, and they said, no, our boilers are down. We can't make them. We can't make the orders.
And so she went into, wearing it with a guy. I would have sat there and said, why don't you come on back? I'm going to show you everything so you understand that I'm not trying to, because I'll tell you what, I don't care if I do or don't like Whoopi, and I don't like her. If I saw her come into my shop, I would sit there and say, good morning, Miss Goldberg. You're welcome here to Knight's Bagels,
Yeah.
What would you like today? And whatever she wanted, guess what? I'd probably give it to her on the house and say, thank you. Just because I don't agree with her politics, I respect her status of that she's done something. And I would do that just as a goodwill gesture. And I think any business person would.
People
just like she might sit there and say, his bagels suck.
People like Whoopi are they're always victims. They're always a victim. It's like, mind you, she's a multimillionaire. She's got Academy Awards. She's very successful, but they just can't shake this victim stuff. They love being the victim.
She's a victim of herself.
Well, yeah, I think she is. But we have a very divided country right now, and it's not going to change. I want to play for you this cut. This is a reporter for the Washington Post, and she's also a contributor to Morning Joe with Mika and Joe, and she is she's nuts. And what amazes me, folks, is she's a columnist at the Washington Post. They think that her words and her thoughts are meaningful to America. Listen to what she says.
You can't talk broad themes. You have to boil it down to nuts and bolts, and you have to be pithy. What do I mean by pithy? How about this? Republicans want to kill your kids. It's actually true. if you're going to oppose vaccinations, if you're going to stop breakthrough medical research, if you're going to allow minors and all sorts of people to get semi-automatic weapons, which they use to shoot up schools, well, then you are responsible for kids' health and death, unfortunately. It has to be that simple and that direct, and it has to be over and over and over again.
Yeah, her name is Jen Rubin, and she obviously, and let me give you what I think is, and I don't know what her resume looks like, but she probably is an Ivy League graduate from some fine school, because they all think the world of themselves. And she probably thinks that the peons and the rabble of the world are those who have degrees from like state schools, and maybe, my God, no degree at all. If you have no degree at all, my God, you can't be a success because you didn't go to an Ivy League school. That's the kind of mentality, and she's talking down. She says Republicans are going to kill your kids. Ms. Rubin, might I remind you, you are, madam, on the side of the Democrats, and what is the mantra? What is the center of their belief system? Why, it's abortion. And what do they do? They kill kids, the smallest of kids. That's what abortion does. And you are, I'm sure, a large proponent of that. So enough already. All right? Tell me how, again, the Republicans are going to kill kids? That's a lot of crap, if you ask me. And you, madam, I know they're going to be making changes to the Washington Post. You can only hope that you're one of them. But, you know, the Washington Post, I mean, I think they've like so many of the mainstream media, the Washington Post, the New York Times, the L.A. Times, the CNN, MSNBC, they have jumped in so far into that liberal, embrace that liberal ideology. They have, with all due respect, even if you're a reader or a watcher of those media outlets, I'm sure you're going to disagree, but they have lied for 4 years in the name of what they think is the good being the liberal ideology. Well, they got caught. And what they found out 2 weeks ago yesterday is that America didn't buy what they were selling. They just were not buying.
That's too bad.
Yep. And
too bad we didn't buy it. So suck it up, Bunky.
So, Bill, they're gonna be standing around wondering, I don't know why I was released. I worked here since 2012. I had award-winning columns. I had the Peabody, the Pulitzer, whatever. Who gives a rat's? Usually those things are being handed out by other like-minded people, so they don't mean what they used to mean, you know?
Yeah, which is why I've never gotten into that kind of stuff. But, you know, she probably believes her story, her diatribe, but it is lacking base in the fact that, you know, I sit there, you know, they think they have the control and the gift of life to give it out, and they don't. Going back to the abortion issue.
Yeah.
You know, my feeling, and you're going to go, boy, Bill, you're a real wacko, but life began before conception, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think that I happen to believe in God, and I happen to believe that God decides whether he's going to allow you to exist. So maybe what you're saying is true. The mere fact
two
that
living cells that never got together before get together at conception and create a one.
Yeah.
You know, so, which is very godlike, you know.
But they don't believe in God, Bill. They do not. I saw a video a couple of days ago, and this guy went down the street, just, you know, and he was saying, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And the people going, no. And I thought to myself, how sad, because with all due respect, Jesus Christ, God in my life, is like a life preserver for me, and I'll tell you why. Because I'm a human that commits sin, and when I commit sin, I if I didn't have the ability to turn to God and ask for forgiveness, I don't know who do you turn to? You can't. What do you go to a psychiatrist? They charge you $150 an hour, and you get some sort of a patch. It's a psychological. No. And it's never real. But I got to tell you one thing: when I ask God for forgiveness, I know this is getting a little theological, but just bear with me for a second. When I ask God for forgiveness, I can feel His forgiveness. I can feel it.
It's a cleansing of the soul because you've let go of the thing that was shackling you down. You handed it over, and there was no repercussion for it. If anything, there was it's all right. You're going to be fine.
Yep.
You'll be just fine, and the burden is from your mind. If you haven't done it, you don't understand it. It's pretty simple as that. And but since you bring up religion, because the left is like going, it's these radical right-wing religious blah 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 blah, and they go, it's the church. Yeah, the church was in part of the election, but they weren't everything. There were a lot of young boats out there, and a lot of these kids are confused because society's let them down, the church has let them down, and it's not done their job. In other words, these young kids today, and they're not sure that they believe in God. They're not sure of this or that. But what they are sure of is what the hell's going on in Washington ain't right. And that's the trigger to the election, just so you know.
You made it. Here's the problem. Young kids can't differentiate between God and the church, okay? And there's a difference. Like, I'm Catholic, and I have a hard time acknowledging this Pope. I think this Pope is a socialist. I'm telling you, I think he's a socialist. And I think his politics are more important to him than his faith. And I think, by the way, he was inserted into that position and didn't rise the normal way. Usually a pope dies, they have a conclave, they pick a pope, and that's how it's done. In his case, Francis's case, Benedict was still alive. They booted him out of the position, and they inserted this guy, this socialist, into the position of pope and made Benedict Pope Emeritus for like 16 years. It was amazing. He wasn't in danger of dying. They just wanted him out of the position because he was too conservative. So The point is this: I don't follow a religion because of the clergy. I follow my faith because of God, period. I mean, it's between me and him. I came in because of him, and I'm going to leave this world because of him. And, that's how it is. Anyone in between, any priest or minister or reverend, they're all just there, and they're not the important part of my theology, my faith, if you know what I mean.
No, I know exactly what you mean. And you know what? We put a lot of faith in man that sometimes takes the Bible and will sit there and rewrite it to their own convenience, or reinterpret it to their own convenience.
Yeah.
So
no, it's true. Well, anyway, but without getting, we kind of got a little off the beaten path here. But you know what I was thinking as
theological,
But I was thinking about this as we were talking, though. I think about this show, and I think this show means a lot to a lot of people because we get a kind of a feedback by the number of people who are listening, and I think, well, how did this show really start? Bill and I, we knew each other before the show started, but not as closely as we do now because we've been doing this. It'll be 3 years on the 16th of December. That's like, what, 3 weeks from now? And we thought, well, I don't know who's going to listen. So we started doing it, and we had nobody listening. It was like broadcasting to an empty room. Well, they say right now we have 4 million people a week listening to our program, and 400 million have listened since we started.
Here's the thing. Going back to when we started, I thought about it too, and the simple fact was, and I have a reminder every day when I go into the back office of the website, there were, I think, what was it, 4 or 5 guys that we got together, and because we were mad about politics, what was going on. Yeah, well, we ought to sit there and talk, and one of our good dear friends that likes to have his cigars and drink his brandy was in on it. And we got together one day, and we kind of did a test cycle of the thing, but nothing ever got off the ground. And Jim and I, who worked for the same company, project, but we really didn't know each other, but we sat there and said, where is everybody, man? They've all ran away because they saw that, we got to think now. and they didn't do it. I think we lost one of them to a heart attack, or 2 of them, but either way, and the name, here's a bit of trivia for you. We were going to call ourselves the Stink Boys, which I'm sure glad we didn't. Just like, the Stink Boys.
Some people
might to tell us something there, buddy.
Yeah, some people might have thought that was more appropriate, but the thing is, I think that and I know this sounds a little, theological, but I think God had a little bit to do with this program, because I think he gave us a little boost along the way. And look how do you find, if you look at the map of people who listen to our program around the world, I'm not talking about in the United States, we must be in 50 countries around the world where people are downloading the program.
Sure.
And you wonder, how do they find us? And they're listening.
Sometimes I question our listenership, but then I go somewhere and somebody goes, oh, yeah, you're the guys. And, got a guy that wants to be on the show. And I'm like going, oh, because we're kind of closed circuit.
Well, I had a friend of mine go to a town meeting in Wisconsin, and he mentioned the podcast. And the guy said, oh, yeah, I listen to those guys. And I thought, oh, my God.
Yeah, we really don't know what we have, but you sit there and we talk to the religion. Am I a Christian? Yes. Am I a good Christian? No, by no measure of the means. And I can't speak for Jim, but that might be, if there's divine intervention, then
Bill,
we're the fishermen.
I'm human, and there's not a man on this planet, with the exception of Jesus himself, there's not a man on this planet who doesn't commit sin.
Yeah, if somebody sits there and goes, oh, you want to know about Bill? Shut up over there. I'll tell you about Bill.
Yeah.
We've come along.
And God knows, what is it? God knows his own.
Yeah.
Nothing that we do surprises him.
Two things you can do to help out the show. Number one, besides the Right Side product and coffee.
Oh, please, yes.
What you can do is, let's say that you got a business, you've got a domain, or whatever it is that you do, link our show. That gives us the backlinks, and that is actually gold in our pocket.
That's true.
We don't have a lot of bad links. We don't have a lot of people to share us, but if you link us or throw our web domain out there, well, that helps out. Get some friends,
if you're in a group of like-minded conservative thinkers out there, or people who kind of are on the fence, send them the link. Just go to our webpage.
You know what? Yeah. You send us an email. I'm not great. I'm not good at going through email, but you send us a thing. Hey, we linked your website. We're going to kind of go back and look at your website, and we can put a link page, and say, these are some righteous businesses. And that, we help each other out then. All of a sudden, that's one of the things you can do. The other thing you can do is sit back in your chair and take a big breath and
have a good mouthful of Right Side coffee.
Having the coffee, I put itsanotherday.com on my website. Yeah. And
by the way, if you want to share in that experience, drinking Right Side coffee, why, all you have to do is go to rightsideshop.com, rightsideshop.com, and you'll see the link to our coffee there, and you can try it out. By the way, it always tastes better when you're wearing a Daddy's Home sweatshirt. By the way, you got to see the Daddy's Home sweatshirt. It is going to be a conversation piece, and it's an exclusive to our shop. By the way, to our store, because nobody else has it. Rightsideshop.com, and Daddy's Home sweatshirt, T-shirt, and the Right Side Daddy's Home cup. I mean, these are all items that you definitely should have. You should give them away to your friends, too, at Christmas time.
Yeah, you really should. And now's the time to order because there is the holiday rush that hits right around, go figure, Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is late this year. It's the 28th, the end of the month, which means we're going to have a shorter span of time, I believe, getting up to, Christmas Day and the shopping. So, and then,
Do you believe that
Service.
Thanksgiving is next week? Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Holy smokes.
I'm going out of town this weekend. Yes, I'll be here for the podcast. I have a studio. Well, that wasn't going to sound right. I just have a studio in my pocket.
Yeah. We'll just leave that alone. But seriously, it is amazing how fast these holidays are coming up. We have Thanksgiving, and then Christmas is right around the corner. And all you have to do to do all your Christmas shopping and be the talk of your family is to go to rightsideshop.com and buy an item there. And trust me, you'll be helping us out. We don't get all the profits. Bill and I do not get all the profits. We get a little piece of the profits, but we need it to help promote the show and grow it from $4 million a week, hopefully, to $40 million a week, or even $10 million a week. Every little bit helps. And everything costs money nowadays. We try to get them to do it with our charm and good looks, but that doesn't seem to work out. So,
well, I got the door slammed in my face.
Did you really?
Yeah, hey. I showed them a picture of you, and they slammed the door.
Yeah, dirty. You know what you should do? You should bring Juan and Jose and the border crossers in and have them sing this.
Wake up on the right side with Right Side Coffee.
And that will get the door open for you, yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
amazing what that will do.
It really will. Okay, guys, you can go back to the bus. Interesting stuff. I cannot figure this out, and maybe you can help me here. But all around the country, in blue states and in blue cities, the leaders of these states who were voted in by American citizens, by people who put them in office to protect their neighborhoods, their families. These leaders, these Democratic leaders, I'm talking about Gavin Newsom, I'm talking about Hochul in New York, I'm talking about Michelle Wu up in Boston. She's the mayor of Boston.
Woohoo!
Yeah, listen to what she said. Listen.
What will Boston's response be if these mass deportations take place?
Yeah, look, elections have consequences, and the federal government is responsible for a certain set of actions, and no individual city can reverse or override some parts of that. But what we can do is make sure that we are doing our part to protect our residents in every possible way, that we are not cooperating with those efforts that actually threaten the safety of everyone by causing widespread fear and having large-scale economic impact.
Okay, so let me think about this for a second. If I rob a bank in Worcester, Massachusetts, and I race off to Boston, right, because it's a sanctuary city, can I have the people in Boston, the police in Boston, protect me? I committed a crime, but I'm seeking sanctuary in Boston.
You've got an arguable defense there. They're going to come and arrest you and manhandle you and drag you back. But a good attorney will get you back in Boston where you're safe.
You got thousands of people going up to Boston who are here illegally. They committed a crime. I mean, whether you like it or not, they can be the cutest little group of people, but they committed a crime. They came across our border illegally, and they are illegally in our country. Why is it any different than me?
Well, Michelle did say some truth there, though. Elections have consequences. You allow a whack job to be voted in as mayor of the city, you get whack job results. Hence, what she just said.
Tom Homan was on with Greg Kelly on Newsmax. They talked about this. Listen.
Defending our residents every possible way. Well, she's not very smart, I'll give her that, because what I just said is President Trump's going to prioritize public safety threats. What mayor or governor doesn't want public safety threats out of their communities? I mean, that's her number one responsibility, is protect your communities, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So she helps us, she gets the hell out of the way, because we're going to do it. And look, there's a clear line here, and they can't cross a clear line. I would suggest she read Title 8, United States Code 1324 III. that says, you can't harbor or conceal an illegal alien from front of law enforcement officers. So I hope she don't cross that line. They can not cooperate, but there are certain laws in place that they can't cross, and I hope she doesn't cross it. But
Yeah, I love it. He says she's not very smart. And what he says is true. She can either help us or get out of the way, but we're going to do it. We're going to move these. Bill, this sanctuary city stuff, we've talked about this before. It's going to come to a head under this administration. They've said that, we're a sanctuary city and we are a safe haven for these people. No. You are a city. You are a community in our country. And you are, by the way, you get benefits and you are supposed to abide by our laws, the laws that everybody else in this country has to abide by. You have not got a legal right to cordon off a section of our country, be it your city, and say, okay, we're not going to follow your laws anymore because we're a sanctuary city. That is BS. Bill, I know this sounds like I never understood this. I never understood the argument for a sanctuary city, ever. I'm talking about when I first heard about it. Well, we're going to be a sanctuary city. They can come here and we'll protect them. No. You are a city in the United States of America. We have to follow the laws of this country, and that includes you, But they have this, the left has this attitude like, well, we can actually create whatever we want to create because we're the left. We don't necessarily follow the same rules that you follow because, well, we're the left, and the left is different from you peon. But anyway, that was Michelle Wu in Boston. When he said she's not very smart, she isn't. If you'll remember correctly, Bill, last Christmas, she was the lady who had 2 Christmas parties. Not that she wanted 2 Christmas parties, but she tried to sneak a Christmas party across the line that was just for minorities. She didn't want any whites at her Christmas party.
Why, that's prejudice, Michelle.
Well,
you don't like white people?
Bill?
I like...
Hey, you're being awfully heavy-handed. But
I like Asian people.
She got caught by the media, and then she said, oh, it was an oversight. I was wondering why I didn't see any of my... I was wondering why I didn't see any of my white friends at that Christmas party. So she had another Christmas party that had her white friends there. But, it's like, I don't know, folks, how these people get elected. Now, the governor of Arizona, a Nimrod of all Nimrods, Katie Hobbs, Bill, she's as dumb as a box of rocks. She sounds like a Valley Girl. I mean, every time, every sentence that she says ends on an up note, I'm here to say this, and jeez. Anyway, she was saying that Arizona is going to not follow the laws of President Trump either. We're not going to assist in moving the illegals. Mind you, they're a border state that has been crushed by illegals.
Yes, but they got a guy with ties to the cartel that mysteriously won the election.
Oh yeah.
So she's they got the
Gallego.
ramrod.
Yeah, Gallego is his name. You're right. And I don't know what the story is. I want you to ponder something. Trump won Arizona, and in most of the counties he took across the finish line all of the Republican candidates, with the exception of Kari Lake. Now, Kari Lake is probably the most popular candidate in Arizona. By any stretch of the imagination, is the most famous and most widely known candidate in Arizona. And yet, after dragging the election out for days, going way beyond that one-day limit, they miraculously found a bunch of votes for this guy Gallego, and he won, supposedly. Now, this time around, I don't know whether she's challenging it, Bill.
Well, she's been seen at Mar-a-Lago a lot.
Yeah, she was there yesterday, rather. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me believe that there's an appointment up, and we had talked about that earlier in the week. I'm going, the one thing that Trump could say is the middle finger to Arizona,
yeah,
is to go and put her in a cabinet position that effects over him. Now, she can't get border czar, but boy, there's some other things that she could get.
Yeah.
And, Arizona, it's a red state, but you got some blue in there.
Who do we have for Homeland Security? Do you know? Did we pick somebody for Homeland already?
Let me see if I have something we could talk while I look.
I'm just trying to. I know that by the way, we picked Mehmet Oz as an administrator of Medicare and Medicaid. People say, "Well, administrator." That's not. It is a cabinet level position. Okay, It is a very important thing. Maybe one of the most important things. And the guy's so well qualified. He's a successful doctor, Harvard graduate, perfect for the position. And they're lucky if he'll do it. And I guess he's going to. So Mehmet Oz is back in the public forum.
Yeah, I think Kristi Noem is going to be the Homeland Security person.
Okay, yeah, I thought they might. There's so many different choices.
But there's a lot of different things out there, and just because she came from Arizona doesn't mean that she has to be a border czar.
Yeah,
there's a lot of other.
She could be an advisor to the president. I mean, as simple as that. She could be an advisor of national whatever to the president and be in the White House. She's a smart lady. I was actually kind of surprised they didn't pick her for some kind of a communications situation. But
I think that would have been too obvious, and I think she's actually smarter than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know what? Don't count your card. Don't. If you're a card counter, don't count them all until they're on the table. Well, I see the ones that are missing. Yeah, but Trump, he.
I wouldn't want to be in the election counting, vote counting, situation in Arizona, because unlike last time when the administration offered no assistance in trying to figure out what happened in Arizona, I think this time around you're going to see the Justice Department go down in Arizona, and a lot of people who have been messing around with votes, and you cannot tell me that they're not messing around with votes. As a matter of fact, in Pennsylvania, right, in Bucks County, we had a Democratic head of the Bucks County Elections Board. I forgot her name here. It's here somewhere in my stack of stuff. Anyway, she actually came out, this lady who was one of three people on the board, and she said, I know that what I'm doing is wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway, because these days you can do stuff and get away with it because there are no consequences. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what the lady said. And I have her name here somewhere. This is what happens when you have too much stuff. You bring too much show prep into the studio. But anyway, I'm going to play the cut. This is one of the board members. And then I'll tell you what the follow-up is after I play this. Listen very carefully to what this lady says.
We reject all three categories of these ballots.
Your motion is to reject or dismiss the challenges in this category in front of you?
Correct, yep.
Not going to second that, mostly because I think we all know that precedent by a court doesn't matter anymore in this country, and people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate this law, it's because I want a court to pay attention to it.
Okay, her name is Diane Marseglia, and she's a Democrat, Bucks County commissioner. And so she came out yesterday, and she said, well, it was, you misinterpreted what I said. No.
No, we didn't misinterpret.
She said you took it out of context. I said, wait.
No, we didn't.
No, it was actually a complete sentence. You started it, you finished it, and you said what you said. But she got a lot of grief. Even the spineless governor of Pennsylvania, who, Casper, I like to think of him as Casper Milquetoast, Shapiro. He finally came out and said in a general way that Pennsylvania will not tolerate any messing around with the votes, and we're going to have fair and open and honest elections in our state. He came out with
he's protecting his political rear end.
Yeah, but he didn't come out when she made the statement a couple of days ago.
No.
He came out after she caught grief from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of PA came down and said, No. And by the way, they're Democrats. But they came down and they said, hey, we issued an order. You damn well better follow our order or you're going to go to jail. And then I guess it meant something to Diane Marseglia.
Because it wasn't Republicans saying it, it was Democrats saying it.
Yeah, and she retracted it. But there's an arrogance to the left that has been created by the Biden administration and what happened over the last 4 years. Because they had the federal government behind them, they could just about say and do whatever they wanted, and no big deal, no consequences.
Yeah. Oh, you know what else happened in New York?
What?
Mershon adjourned the case yesterday.
Yeah, Bill, I saw that, and I was trying to figure that out. No,
what does that mean?
Yeah. Well, first of all, he's supposed to come out with a ruling on the 26th, which is what, 6 days from now?
Yeah.
So next week. But he was supposed
turkey before turkey?
He was, I guess they wanted to get an earlier judgment or something, but he was considering it, and then he said no. I don't know where he's. First of all, expect nothing from Marchand, okay? He's going to probably rule against Trump no matter what, I think. So expect nothing. But here's what. He's not just ruling against Trump. He's ruling against the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court issued this executive privilege, which Trump should have. And now, even more so, because he's the president-elect. And by the way, if I were Marchand, if I were Bragg, all these guys, they think right now that they still have the power. But I don't think
they're bucking.
I don't think you understand the immense power that the office of the presidency has. For example, we have got literally a mindless gnome in the office of the presidency right now. We have a guy who rubs little kids' hair and sniffs their necks, the nape of their necks. We have a guy who goes for a walk in the Amazon jungle by himself. We have a guy who the man is, if he were your grandfather, you'd have him in assisted living. But because he's the president of the United States, he's in the White House. You know, we fly him around on jets, and that's why, Bill. Getting back to this Ukraine thing, I am really nervous. We've got a man who's absolutely incompetent, a man who is feeble-minded, and he's got his hand on the trigger of our nuclear weapons.
And we don't do anything about it.
Nothing.
And that was my thing yesterday. Is that I came unhinged, but
no.
A lot of people look at it real simply, going, "Well, you know,
you were right on the money. You were right on the money. You were not unhinged. You were justifiably upset, as I am right now."
Well, what I was going to say is everyone's going, "Well, Putin's not going to go to war." He was very, he was very cautious in what he said and how he said it. And, I heard even on Beck, where Beck came unhinged, and then somebody goes, "Oh, no. All these political pundits, this is what he's going to do. This is what they're going to do." You're not Putin. You're not in his mind.
Right.
And look, I've got another project that I was doing, and one of the thoughts that I had is just as a question: are we really the good guys? Well, and you could say that from both sides, because are we the good guys?
We have been historically, but whether we are now is another question.
Well, you could say, have we ever been? Because it's all perspective of where you are at any given place in time.
I would say point to World War II, right? We went to literally, we were late to the party, but we went to the party, and we saved the bacon of the free world against Adolf Hitler. That's a good guy.
Right.
We were very late to the party in World War I. We went to that party late, and we saved the bacon in World War I. So I would say then we were the good guys. But then again, I look at, for example, the Vietnam War. I think that was my generation, and I think that it wasn't the generation that caused the problem. That war was being run by a bunch of guys with stars and politicians in Washington. It was being micromanaged literally by people in Washington, and not by soldiers on the ground. That's why when in the Iraq War, the first Iraq War, when Schwarzkopf came in, they said, okay, you run that war. It's all yours. You're there. And he won the war in 4 days, because he was on the ground at the site. That wasn't the case in Vietnam. In Vietnam, everything was political, and a lot of wonderful men and women died in that war for no good reason. And so that was, I would say that the Vietnam War, we weren't the good guys. We were the soldiers were the good guys, but the people who ran it weren't the good guys, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think that we've been the good guys more often than not, but we're not perfect.
Depending on where you're born from or where you're born, you might grow up and you might believe in your culture and everything that you're the good guy. And you have no other, from your perspective, you are. So, it's our leaders that make us the bad guys. And do we always know they're bad? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I was thinking, Bill, I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? Did you have more to say?
No, I was just saying, in general, people are mostly good. I
agree.
For the most part, people are good. But it is the people that we choose to lead us that may be misleading us.
Yes, well, exactly. I think, for example, that under Trump, the first 4 years, we were a great nation, and we were doing wonderful things. We were peaceful. We didn't fight wars. We were leading the world to better things. Under the next 4 years, under Biden and Harris, we were, in my opinion, we were absolutely evil. We were not a good country, and it was seen around the world. We were weak. We were shifty. We were just not above board, and it was. And look at when the next election came around in 2024, the people spoke, and they spoke in volumes.
Well, you look at America and the dream and the great experiment. You look at England. You look at Russia. England, we escaped from life under the mushroom. And we had all our freedoms and liberties. So we think, maybe we're just living under a different type of mushroom, but we're still under certain controls. Russia is life under a mushroom. Now, remember when the wall came down? A lot of people left Russia and they came here. But all of a sudden, they realized they liked those controls because they were used to being, having things handed to them a certain way. Freedom was just too much for them to handle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I also yesterday was thinking, let's say there was a war in Mexico, and it was confined to Mexico. And suddenly Russia gave some missiles to an army in Mexico, and they fired those missiles into Texas or New Mexico or Arizona. 6 of them. Would 6 missiles be enough to make us want to retaliate for what? I mean, all of a sudden, our homeland was attacked, okay? This is what Russia is going through right now. This, by the way, is what Putin is dealing with when he goes to cabinet meetings in the Kremlin. I can think of one guy right off the bat, Medvedev. Thank God he's not the leader of the country anymore, because he wants to go to war.
The United States, and there are countries like us, we have a lot of infrastructure. We have a lot of high-tech, expensive infrastructure. Even Russia is as advanced as they are. They do not, there's more real estate there that's not developed than there is real estate that's developed. We have a lot of undeveloped real estate, but we have a massive amount that is. So in other words, 6 missiles, you only need 1 to hit 1 city. And, I take, for instance, the World Trade Centers. When that came down, what did it do to our economy, our life, our jobs? Everything stopped. The world stopped. It stopped.
Bill,
we went backwards.
I was thinking, is there a mentality in our country that thinks, well, they would only take out 1 city? I mean, what city would be acceptable? Would be an acceptable loss?
There is no acceptable loss.
Would it be okay to hit Portland, Oregon? Would it be okay to nail Des Moines? Would it be okay to hit Washington, D.C.? How about if we took out New York City? And what you just said is very true. You know what happened to our country psychologically, emotionally, when two massive buildings came smashing down, and over 3,000 of our people died in one morning. You know, it left a scar on our national psyche for the rest of our existence. You know, so what happens if Moscow decides we're going to take out Anchorage, Alaska? You know, it's not really a mainland city, and it'll show them that we mean business. This is what Joe Biden has put us into right now. He's put us into a situation where, and what you said is true when you were listening to Glenn Beck yesterday. You hear all of these erudite pundits coming out with their opinions about, well, Putin wouldn't do this or Putin wouldn't do that. Horse crap. They don't know Putin. You don't know Putin. I don't know Putin. Here's what I do know. He is not to be taken lightly. He's to be taken seriously. He's a serious leader of his nation, more so, dare I say, than this fathead we have in the White House today. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have one guy in Moscow who is his hands above Biden as far as being an alpha male.
I am tired of people talking about what a great guy Biden is, because I know what he has been leading up to, and I see everything, the kid sniffing, and that's a mild thing compared to Burisma and the money stuff that was going on there. We're not talking thousands, millions. We're talking billions of dollars that, you know, how did Joe go from nothing to maybe a senator, all these years, but the salary is good, but it ain't that great. But he's got 5 homes. You know,
no. The guy, he's as shady can be. And Bill, we have someone said on the air yesterday, what happens if one of the last things Zelensky said to Biden was, look at Mr. President, either you give us authorization to use those missiles at our discretion, or maybe I tell the world about how you took bribes from Burisma.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we all know that he did because he admitted it. You know, but,
maybe there's more, Bill. Maybe there's stuff that we haven't even talked about.
Well, that's just it. You know, but you know, and there's a lot to Joe. There's Jill. There's Hunter. There's his brother. There's Joe himself. You know, 61 days or 60 days we got to go.
Yeah, and I hope we make it, Bill.
I do too. And, you know, the Mershon thing, you know, doing the thing on the 26th, that's Tuesday, which is 2 days before Thanksgiving. A lot of people, Monday, Tuesday, they're wrapping up to go home. Networks are shutting down. So if he's going to do something stinky and nasty, Tuesday's the day, because then it's got a whole long holiday weekend to fester and just get in those little rotation cycles, the automation cycle where
do it right
this story plays every 10 minutes. Right. And plays all weekend long to program your mind.
Well, we are, you know, the other thing that, because of this fathead in Washington, and if you voted for him, really, you have got to get down on your knees and ask God for forgiveness, because you are part of the problem. If you voted for him, or if you voted for Kamala, which is an extension of him, then you should ask God for forgiveness, because, and you may say, well, Trump's not the answer. Well, listen, forget his tweets, forget his personality. Look at his deeds. Look at what he's done. Look at how he's kept our country secure and safe. Look at how he's bolstered our economy. You know?
Let me ask you a simple question. All right. Going back to 2016, all right, if Trump had never done any of his, well, I don't know, flagrant tweets, had he not done all of that, would you have known who he was?
Oh, no.
Would he be where he is? Or was that calculated to sit there and say, the only way that I can break through this cycle is come in with the guns blaring and kick down the walls and the fences.
It's a great point, Bill. I think of it this way. Do you remember the run-of-the-mill great athlete who you don't know his name, or do you remember the athlete who was a great athlete but he was flamboyant, wore the fancy clothes, had an expensive car, had all of his friends? Somebody who was kind of outlandish. You know what I'm saying?
Look at wrestling.
Yes.
Look at wrestling. I used to work in he worked at MC in Memphis, where we had, Johnny Hart, all of the guys. We had them all there.
You originated a lot of the matches. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lawler was a nice guy. He's a painter. He was a disc jockey. He wanted to be, never could be. So he ended up putting on the tights and going out there, and being a tough guy. And he ain't that big, actually. But either way, these guys would do that. But we remember the Ric Flairs, the $1 Million Man,
Killer Kowalski back in the 60s and 50s. They were
these superhero personas that they had.
And Bill, if they just went out, seriously, if these same people didn't do the flamboyance, didn't do the dramatics and histrionics, if they just went out and wrestled, would we remember any of them? No.
Not a damn one.
So Trump probably thought, I'm a businessman. I haven't got 20 years or 30 years of politics and being
I don't have anybody in my pocket.
Right.
So how do I get through? Lock her up, and let's do that. And he just went out there. Yeah. And P.T. Barnum has nothing on what he did.
Oh, I know.
And so when you sit there going, because I remember people going back, I wish he would just tone it down a little bit.
Oh, God.
It was funny. He got your attention.
Yeah.
He won 2020. But, they figured out how to, steal it back, and because he never stole it to begin with. And he realized what they did, but he never toned the rhetoric down. He has now because he's there. He's got
and he's not running again. He doesn't have to run anymore. Yeah.
So he could turn off that spigot. Now, I don't think it totally turns off because it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I looked at it from a different perspective. I looked at it as, okay, you got my attention. What are you going to do with it? And he wanted to keep my attention. So he's always been doing that. And if you hate what he's doing, don't look at the hate. Look at, okay, he's got my attention. What good are you? Well, he's a lot of good if you sit there and get past that barrier that the Democrats are trying to throw.
You have a family. You have children. He's keeping them safe. You have expenses. He's giving you more money in your pocket. I mean, he's doing so much. He's going back and he's going to secure that border. I'll never understand what Joe Biden opened that border up for. I mean, anybody and everybody was allowed into this country, no matter who they were and no matter where they were from. Just walk across the border, you'll be bussed and flown to wherever you want to go. That's what Biden did to our country. At the very least, if you don't take into consideration Afghanistan or this stupid war in Ukraine, that we really have no business being involved with that war. None. Zero. It's not our war. We have no economic or political benefit coming out of that. Nothing. What we do have is a war that's protecting Biden's rear end. That's what we have, because Biden has been taking graft and money from the Ukraine. But so in the meantime, I was thinking last night as I'm lying in bed, I sure hope I wake up in the morning, because it's that tenuous, and yet the media, the mainstream media, is not acknowledging the danger that we're all in right now. Nothing. A couple of programs, maybe, a couple of commentators are making the point, but for the most part, it's on with Jeopardy and Name That Tune. I mean, they're watching the TV shows, and everything else is pushed aside. We are sitting on at the razor's edge. We're on the razor's edge. Anything can happen, and it's at the whim and at the discretion right now of Putin and his people. They have been attacked, and they're going to do something. As a matter of fact, today, actually, I don't know if you heard about this, U.S. closes Kyiv embassy due to
Yeah.
potential significant air attack and urges Americans in the Ukraine to be ready to seek shelter. Ready to seek shelter? I would suggest you get the hell out of there right now if you still can.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in the news, and I don't know what to say, but keep it ready. Maybe the reason that they're not letting people know the gravity of everything is if the masses really understood what's at stake, would there be panic and chaos, or would there be anger at our government?
Will they tell us if we're being attacked?
I think you'll know when you look to the sky and you see something coming down and you see this bright glow. Don't look away. It'll be easier.
All I can tell you, folks, is I don't know how we're going to make it to January 20th. I hear people saying all the time, there's a lot of doubt in a lot of intelligent people's minds as to whether or not we'll even get there. They don't want Trump to succeed. They don't want him to assume power. And a lot of people are saying, there's a lot of conjecture out there, a lot of people saying they will do anything to keep him out of office. Anything to keep him out of office, including start World War III.
Well, we thought that could happen before the election, and now it's after the election, so maybe there's hope. But the one thing that I do know, now, you study history. I was always been a little bit of a science geek, and I looked at things, so I understand what a nuke does. But does anybody really understand the devastation of a nuclear device anymore? And there are tens of thousands of them out there between the U.S. and Russia.
Over 6,000. Over 6,000 Russian nuclear bombs, missiles.
Yeah. So we've got them, and we've got a ton of them, and then that's the ones that we both report. And when I say we both report, that is a true statement. I know that for a fact, and we'll just leave it at that.
We also have Iran has nukes. I mean, they're saying they're close to it. No, they got them. They don't kid yourself. They've been close to having nukes for years. And don't you think for one second that Israel doesn't know, because they haven't really gone after Iran for their attacks. They haven't gone in there and taken, because they know that Iran's got nukes.
Yeah, and you know what? The ones that we supposedly decommissioned and took out of service, we still got them. They may have, for the most part, been the rockets and whatnot. The delivery methods have been dismantled, but they're sheltered in place, stored, because what do you do with them? Nothing. You store them.
Can you stick them on a more contemporary missile?
Well, you could. Right now, they're parked in deep underground vaults under Chicago and Dallas, the two places that I know for a fact exist. And, think about that,
Wow.
And Beck's in Dallas now. He should think about that. He's sitting right on top of a decommissioned nuclear arsenal.
Wow.
And they're there. You do some research, you'll find out. It won't be easy, but you'll find it.
Folks, I'm not saying get your stuff in order, but, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared for something, because I think that Russia's going to do something. They have a history of doing stuff. I wouldn't want to be in Kyiv right now, because I think they're going to level Kyiv. They've been somewhat reluctant to level Kyiv because they've said that it has historic churches and it has a lot of innocent people, and they consider them to be cousins, Russian cousins. And but now I think with what they did with those 6 missiles, all bets are off.
Yeah, they're not kissing cousins anymore. So
nope,
it's time for a smackdown, and it could be coming. So I'll leave it at that. I have a lot more to say, but probably best just to.
Anyway, we have. I think it'll be another busy day, another wild day. I don't know. Do you think we're going to make it to January 20th? Will Trump get into office? I mean, the mainstream media just assumes he'll be there. They're counting off all these different cabinet positions.
Well,
I'm thinking to myself, does anybody know how close we are to thermonuclear war?
I think that there are people out there that think that they can control it and contain it. And you can't. Now, one thing I will say, people go, you mean life will end? Our life will end on this planet. This planet's been around a long time. We're relatively newcomers to it. It's shaken off life before that's gone afoul. And guess what?
Is this a globalist plan, Bill? Do they want to see most of our population eradicated?
Could be. It could be. Look, there's people that want to live forever.
Well, didn't Gates say that he wanted a population ideally of 550 million?
Where do they
globally?
get that? Where'd they pull this figure from? Their butt?
Well, I mean, like they're all experts. They're experts on everything. Take the six. How many people we have? 6 billion people in the world. So we cut it down to 550 million. That'll be ideal. Are you kidding me?
The planet, and I'm not sitting there saying, oh, it's a living, it is a living, breathing planet. It is alive. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's a living, breathing planet of sorts. And it can shake us off like the tick off the back of a dog. A massive volcano, we got one. Got a couple of them. In California, we got a big cauldron. We got one in Yosemite that will sit there and just done with the planet. Life has to start all over again. There's so many things that could do it. We could do it all by ourselves.
Well, I don't know that you're aware of this. Bill, during the Manhattan Project, when they tested the nuclear bomb the first time, they weren't exactly sure if the fusion would stop, meaning once they set off the nuclear chain reaction, was it a chain reaction that would continue unchecked forever? They weren't sure when they set that bomb off whether they were destroying the world then. Now, my question is, we've never had a nuclear war. We've never had a situation where multiple nuclear bombs have gone off at the same time.
Can they all interact?
What does that do to our world?
Well, okay. You look at, I'm not a scientist on this, so, it's just.
That's okay.
Guessing, but let's just say, you drop a nuke. Are the remnants still there from back in World War II in Hiroshima?
Probably.
Hiroshima, and Nagasaki?
Hiroshima, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the remnants are still there in Chernobyl?
Sure.
Back in the 80s?
It's still hot.
Okay. So, with that said, you annihilate the planet. It's glowing. It could glow for 50,000 years, but you know what? That's a long time in our little pittance existence on this planet. But to the planet, that could be but a second, just like a flick of a flick.
Yeah, and a lot of these rich guys have underground shelters, things like that. How long can you stay underground?
I got a friend that built a place. Well, I said a friend is an acquaintance. Tired of it. Moving to Belize, please, So he built the place out there on an island. I said, well, he's right on the beach. Wait until a good storm comes along. That place is done. If not the first time, second or third time, it's done.
Yeah.
But is he going to wake up every day and go outside? Oh, smell that ocean breeze. I want to go get a Big Mac. Wait, there's no McDonald's around here. Okay, I'll get a Whopper. Nope, can't get a Whopper. I can't get anything. As a matter of fact, you're on your little island with other people, and there's nothing there. You in your underwear, standing on your porch, looking at the sea, washing in.
Where do you get your food from? Mainland?
I guess you're going to have to fish it. Well,
can you eat the food and the fish in the water? Are they going to be contaminated?
Well, there you go. I mean, but I'm just saying, these guys that have these little bunkers. Well, I got food for the next 50 years. That's my lifetime. Well, but they want to live longer, so they want to take their little neurons of thoughts and individually plant them into robots, so their conscience lives on forever.
Mm-hmm.
Where your soul can't go with you, buddy. And how do you know that robot is not going to have a short circuit and all of a sudden all your neurons, your thought, and your consciousness dies? Or are you being transported into hell?
I can only hope, I can only pray that cooler heads prevail in Russia, and I hope that, hope against all hope, that they realize that everything in our country is going to change in 60 days. Is 60 days, 58 days, whatever it is, to January 20th. Everything in this country will change for the better. And so don't, if there's anybody in Russia listening, I know they do listen in Russia. We know that as a fact. I don't know who's listening, but if you have any influence, you might want to pass along that message. Hang in there. Don't do anything rash just yet. This all may be resolved in 2 months.
Yeah. Well, it's whatever happens, if life goes on, you're still going to have Democrats doing what Democrats do. North Carolina Supreme Court election there.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're still counting the votes, and now they're going into a recount because the Republican that was winning, all of a sudden at the last minute, is losing.
Bill, you keep, and it's happening now. They're still counting votes in that senatorial race in PA. Mind you, McCormick has won. It's been declared a victory for McCormick, but Casey won't concede. He will not concede
because he knows that when probably over the Thanksgiving weekend when nobody's looking, look what we found. Oh my goodness, we knew they were there.
If you keep dragging these elections on ad infinitum, then you'll get the result you wanted. And it should be illegal, and it should not be allowed to happen. But the Democrats, it's part of their whole game plan. I'm sorry.
That's democracy.
Yep. Hey, listen, I think we should wrap this up. I just looked at the clock on the wall, and again, we promised to do a shorter show, and we didn't.
You talk too much, Tim.
That's your fault. Hey, listen, he did it, Ma. He did it. If you have any suggestions, you're always welcome to contact us. Go to our website, www.itsanotherday.com. We have contact information there, and we have all of our past shows. So if you want to get a real laugh, you can go back to our very earliest show 3 years ago and hear how awkward we sounded working together. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah, I don't know. Yes, and you can see how we've improved to become the masters of the art form that we are.
You know, I hate to admit it. I shouldn't admit it, but I'm even better looking now than I was.
I don't know how that happens. I say to myself,
I don't know.
How does he do that?
Only in my mind, but
yes, true. And I've become a legend in my own mind. But anyway, anyway, I think we've just about done it. Again, don't forget rightsideshops.com. Rightside No, I did it again.
Yes, you did.
Let me slap myself. That feels good. Right Side Shop, singular, rightsideshop.com, okay? Rightsideshop.com. Go there, check out our stuff. If you would, buy something because it helps our show so we can promote it and grow the show, okay? And
Jim, I'm going to bail you out. I'm going to have a sip of Right Side coffee.
Go ahead. Have a sip of Right Side coffee. Oh, it looks good. Yeah.
You wait right there, Cup. I'm coming back to see you. Hasta la vista, baby. We're out of here.
Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. We got dead people voting, drop boxes and dominion. And facts are facts, it's not just my opinion. The Democrats know how to steal. Come on, man, here's the deal. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. The fake news will never show it, 'cause it's true. Trump won and you know it. While Biden's hiding in the basement, babbling away on Zoom.
My mental fitness, what I'm doing now.
Patriots fill stadiums, not circles in an empty room. Twitter and the FBI
votes in Fulton County were counted more than once.
I bet he took New York and carried California as well. He's done it twice before, and he's gonna win again for the third time in 2024. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. Fox News won't even show it. It's true. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. If there's a line, they're gonna do it. It's true. Trump won and you know it. I know it, you know it, we know it, they know it. Everybody knows Trump won. I know it, you know it, we know it, they know it. Everybody knows Trump won. I know it, you know it, we know it, they know it. Everybody knows Trump won.
This is CRN America.